Hello, and welcome to the Table and Well podcast. I'm Tennison.
And I'm Ginelle. Thank you for joining us as we discuss topics and give practical tools that help you live, grow, and be in healthy, joy-filled relationship with God, yourself, and others.
For more information and resources, or if you're looking for coaching, connection, and community, visit tableandwell.org. We hope you enjoy this podcast. Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the Table and Well podcast. This is episode number 33 of season 3. And today we're going to be continuing our conversation with Marlene Allen and the Wisdom Keepers series, the role of elders in building healthy community. Marlene is the executive director of Life Model Works, and really they are the organization that we have founded everything basically that we do on. The foundation of what we do is founded on Life Model Works work. And it's an honor to know Marlene and to be friends with her and to consider her a mama to us all. And if you missed our first conversation with her, the first part of the conversation, you want to go back and listen to it because she shared a ton of information and some just really great practical things of what elders are, who elders are, how she was able to continue to be an elder in the community that she's living in now. And in this episode, we are going to be talking a little bit about how elders actually can prevent, protect, and even heal individuals in our community who have been affected by church hurt. And then also, what does it look like for us, for elders, to be elders in the kingdom, not just in a community, but elders in the kingdom of God. So I'm going to get out of the way because this is a fantastic conversation you do not want to miss. And here's part 2 of our conversation with Marlene Allen.
So what would you say is the difference then between an elder as a leader and an elder as a relational guide?
See, I saw that. I saw that question when you put that in. What I would say is transformation. Relational guide, you're going after transformation. You're looking for when I'm a leader, leaders come in all different packages and leading all sorts of things usually for a goal that is a task or a different than relational. How'd you call it? Would you call it a
relational guide?
Yeah.
A relational guide. Because this guide is teaching me, is first of all, is modeling, which a leader does as well, but they're looking for more of transformation in me than of what any performance that I may gain from following them. They're looking to see, are you different than you were last year? And what improvements? What's your weak point? What's your strong point? Constantly, what's your weak point? What are you working on? But always this celebration, but also, hey, what about this? So I love this relational guide. That's what these elders get to be. We get to take people, notice where they are, recognizing, and in our Thrive training, you got to help. You got to decipher where somebody's maturity is in 3 minutes, and and begin to help them. And I was like, okay, but that's what an elder does with this eyesight. I get to see who you are.
Yeah.
But in that, I get to see, this piece, once this flourishes, once this begins to grow and bud in your life, oh my goodness, I can't wait for you to see. It is like what God does with our hearts. And somebody gave me this years ago. They said, I see your heart, and inside are all these different jewels, and they are dusty. And God's wiping one off at a time. And he was so excited, Marlene. He was like, I can't wait for her to discover this one. I can't wait until she sees this one. I can't wait for this one to grow. And that's what I get that same picture for elders.
Yeah.
That can we look at people and see with his eyes and know that he's not done. And there may be all sorts of things coming out of their mouths and coming out of their lives, that it would be easier to run away. But that's the key, that if we just can see with his eyes, I get to sit in that seat of, oh my dear, I can't wait until you discover this.
Yeah.
I can't wait until this begins to grow in you, and this begins. Oh my, what would the church be like if we had elders, around the room waiting for that and looking for that? So again, even when I was at my church in Denver, I would always talk to small group leaders, especially because they were the older ones that
Mm-hmm.
I had in charge of all the small group leaders. And I would say, guys, cross over the aisle and go find them and go introduce yourself. Don't just go to your favorite seat because it happens in all churches. Like
Yeah.
somebody's
Mm-hmm.
sitting. It's like, no, if somebody's sitting in your pew, you get to put on your joyful face and go find out who they are. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm all over the
that's good.
place, but
That's good.
I love this whole idea about what little things that we can do as elders to open the door to an invitation for more, so
Yeah.
that we can begin to speak into some lives. And what do you see though? Okay, I'll be
No,
quiet. No,
no, you don't have, no. Yeah, you don't have to.
Well, and I think along these lines too, back to the community example that you've given as well, is that I think a difference here between you being a leader and a relational guide is that it's not about you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you doing what you've done and your cul-de-sac isn't about you. It's about like part of your greatest joy is the fact that two of them went bowling together
Yes.
and that they now have relationship with one another. And I think that's another important part is that we see the difference when we're guiding all to engage and not just gathering them to us
Mm.
for our benefit or for our
Yeah.
reward, but really about uncovering those treasures for the better of all.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting because that actually for me sheds a new kind of picture on the part of elders that's in the maturity stages in the model. One of the roles of an elder is to carry the weight of the community on their shoulders. They may not be leading the community, but they're carrying the weight of the community on their shoulders. And so, in what you're talking about, Ginelle, and what you've expressed even in this time together here already, Marlene, is that you're carrying the weight of the community on your shoulders because you're like, it's not. I want them to get together. I am so ecstatic that they met, that they can now call each other by name, and you've carrying that weight of facilitating their growth relationally, which is, yeah, so to me it gives a different meaning to that.
Yeah, and I think it also frames the concept of weight. Like we think of carrying the
Yeah,
weight of the community on our
that's
shoulders as
good.
if it's like some awful burden, of misery, you know, where there is some effort that had to go forth and some risk that had to be taken to
Mhm.
invite each of those people to your table. But because you're an elder, you can carry that weight easily.
Mhm.
And it might have been a risk that they couldn't have carried or wouldn't have taken a
Yeah,
step they wouldn't have taken. And so I think that's also really beautiful.
yeah, for the betterment of the community.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And when
Yeah.
you talk about weight, I really, although we know it feels, if there's a heaviness, there's something to be measured there with weight,
Mhm.
but it's almost like, what is it that we get to hold? It's
Mhm.
really, I don't know if it's, we might play with that word weight because it
Mhm.
really is. When I see what God sees, that
Mhm.
carries some weight to it. So I'm going to
Yeah,
translate it a little bit. That
yeah.
carries some
Yeah.
weight to it. That's not heavy because
Mhm.
it's just what he sees. And I get to partner with him so
Right.
that little Amanda can be all that God has called her to be.
Right.
And all my neighbors, I love these guys already, guys. I
I
love
love
these
it.
guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And
even sorry, but as you're talking about weight, it's even like the weight of joy that you carry,
The
the
value
value of,
of
yeah,
gathering, the value of each one of them, like that even being weight in a different, like it's not a flippant thing.
yeah. That's yeah. Just I'm thinking of when I would lead worship and people always ask me, "Are you nervous?" And I would say, "Yeah, kind of nervous." I'm like, "Well, not really nervous. I just understand the importance of what I'm doing." And then there's a weight, a weightiness to leading people into the presence of God. And so it's not a heavy thing. But it's a joyful thing.
Sacred
A
thing
sacred
even.
thing, and it's a privilege to be able to handle and carry that weight, especially when you see the results of that because you are in that moment and throughout all the moments that you are truly being who you're designed to be and who God designed you to be in that space, and so you can carry that quote unquote weight.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
love it.
good.
I
So, so
love
that's
good.
really good.
it.
Um, so speaking of weight, uh,
Let's get ready now.
speaking of weight, um, So one of the things that kind of switching gears, not really switching gears, but one of the things that that we've all kind of noticed this year and we've been talking about a lot is church hurt. And we know that that it's a real thing and that it's heavy. It is a weight in that. And so we were talking a little bit and just curious kind of what your take would be or what your thoughts would be on what would be the role of an elder in preventing church hurt and even healing it after someone maybe has experienced it.
Yeah. Wow. And a lot of it's already been answered. It's in those answers of being that steady presence. But
Hmm.
this it's a steady, joyful presence. I'm glad to be with you. It's
Mhm.
the listening ear without while attuning, not judging. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of where we sit today when we talk about church hurt is because of the dogmatic things that the churchgoers have set in for the last few decades
Hmm.
that have been so dogmatic that the relationship was not as important as the rule that needed
Mhm.
to be
Yes.
followed. And so and we're still digging our way out of that. And so even going into 25 as an organization at Life Model Works, we were looking at, gosh, church hurt is the hot topic that's everywhere, and they're popping up everywhere, and people want to discuss that on Instagram, social media, everywhere. And I said, but guys, for us, let's let's do our part in teaching how to alleviate church hurt. What are
Hmm.
some of the things that's happening so we can at least start dealing with the problem itself? Yes, there it's not going to be so much for like our conference is coming up. It's not so much for counseling for those that have been hurt, but we want to equip elders. We want to equip leaders. Here's how to avoid some of that, and
Yeah.
don't put people into position too soon because there will be damage, and it's that damage control. What it actually means is that somebody's walking out the back door again. And so a
Hmm.
lot of where we're focusing using Jim's book, we knew that the book would be already out, and so like let's talk about hope for church hurt, but let's look at all those aspects. Let's help walk through what a redemptive reconstruction would look like. And there's deconstruction going on right now where people are
Hmm.
deconstructing their faith. Well, I was taught this, and this is what's said
Yep.
to me all the time, and this is what I believed. And they're looking for, oh my goodness, that was a God, and that wasn't good, and that's I need off of that. But and as we all know, some of those people are processing it, and they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're like, don't throw the baby out.
Mhm.
Yes, that was not correct. That was incorrect. That was error. That wasn't truth. That wasn't God. That wasn't love. And how do we begin to change that? And so that's kind of where we're headed with this all of
Mm.
25 and beyond, because
Mhm.
it's going to take a while to begin to even enter this conversation and
Yeah.
help perpetuate this for a while. But being that steady presence in an atmosphere where even I told you just recently, just yesterday, I spoke to an elder in a church where has been there probably 25 years
Mm.
Wow.
and was wronged and just really drew back and
Mhm.
was ready to run. I'm just going to go check out some other places. I said, I don't want you to do that just yet, because an elder doesn't run quickly.
That's
I
good.
want you to show
Mm.
them who you really are and what you're really made of. Somebody's watching, and they
Mhm.
will
Yeah.
see, even though the wrong happened, that you stayed steady to the Lord. You stayed steady. You're the same happy face that they saw every Sunday, greeting them, loving on them,
Yeah.
and being a light for their lives and supporting them, praying them. Don't change.
Yeah.
Don't change.
Yeah.
Yes, there's some healing that has to happen in this heart, but let's not run. Let's learn how to do the hard things in the community.
It's good.
Mhm.
So I forgot what your question was, but that's what I said.
Mhm.
No, that's it. That's good.
I love you guys.
We love you too. Yeah, I
Uh,
think that I think elders are a key piece of being able to heal church hurt
yeah.
and to prevent it. I think part of what we've experienced too is that we've been missing our elders to remind us who we are,
Hmm.
and that church isn't
Yeah.
about performance and productivity, but it is about loving one another well. And the scripture of they'll know who we are by our love for one
Hmm.
another.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
haven't done that so
Yeah.
great But even with your
No.
example of your
Oh,
friend who you're like, don't run just yet, because he's
mhm.
providing a model, an example of this is actually who we are as people. We're
Yep.
people who stay even when it's hard and we've got some things to work through together. That's
Yeah,
the only way we're going to know a different way
Mm.
yeah,
is by
yeah,
seeing it modeled, not because it's been preached from a platform or we're told what we should do. We've been working on that being how we do church for a long time is hearing what we should be doing.
Right. You should be,
mhm,
should
We
be
should be, we should
what you
be.
have
yeah,
to.
And we're
yeah,
just missing that. We're missing what it is to model that for one another at all those stages, from child all the way up, right? And um, so that's an exciting piece as it comes back and elders begin to become elders again,
Hmm.
as
mhm,
we're all
mhm.
doing our work to be those people, and as we begin to value them again, because they've also been devalued. There's not really been a
Yes,
reason to stay.
Yeah.
Um,
yes,
and
yes,
so as the culture of the church shifts, um, I believe they're a key ingredient to the hope and the healing of the next season.
Yeah. I also think one of the ways that I think elders can help navigate that and heal that is to own the hurt that's happened. I think you mentioned attune to them, attuning and not judging, but even just owning and yeah, it's holding space to be the the object of someone's upset and hurt, and just say, I am sorry that that's happened to you, and I'm here just to listen and take whatever you whatever you need to say and to get out. Know that I'm not, like you said, I'm not going anywhere, but I'm willing to sit in this seat for you if you need that.
Mhm.
I think that would be another
That's huge.
huge
Even as
avenue.
representative of maybe the elders who
Hmm.
the protectors who were in place and maybe didn't know
Yeah.
what their job was or how to do that well.
Hmm.
There's lots of pain, I think, in that area, that's going to take some healing, and we'll need people who can be safe again in order for trust to be rebuilt.
Who can be trees?
Who can be trees, yeah.
yeah. And I think what's one of the things that's happening for this elder is that other elders are reminding him of who he is.
Oh, that's
That's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
important.
that's
That
amazing.
the elders know they know him, and they're like, hey, but you remember you're the kind of person that you're the kind of person. And so that's an incredible part of the healing journey for this person where they can stay.
Hmm.
And this whole idea of staying. There's another aspect of this. There's another couple that I have within the last few years have been in relationship with, and noticing 40 years in the same city, and in the 40 years, probably four churches,
Hmm.
one closed, different scenarios, one split, different things that they've been a part of. But I just so felt just to challenge them to look a little higher than the four spaces they've occupied before, to a kingdom mindset. For every one of the spaces where you were a part of those communities, you had young people, you had people you spoke into their lives, and I was encouraging them to not let go of those relationships. So now you've set yourself as an elder in the kingdom. It's not just an elder of one community.
Wow.
It's an
Yeah,
elder
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
kingdom where all of those people that I've left behind in those spaces, that I get to still be this elder by engaging in their lives and leaving the door open for them to invite me into their lives, which that's where sometimes we're so specific about the four walls that we're a part of, are the small
Hmm.
communities. That's another hindrance for us. We get to borrow. I need to borrow your elder. I want,
Yeah.
and we get to do that for one another. But it's a mindset for our elders to know that, yes, this is my crew, this is my tribe, this is who I'm protecting.
Mhm.
But you can't help but open a gate, open a window because somebody else
Hmm.
needs some help. It doesn't
Right.
mean they're going to stay. They just need a taste of the treasure that's in you. So
No, that's
I,
good.
I love this. I love this learning about this elder. And for us, that's what we want. We want to be seen as elders, but it is not an easy task. When we look at it,
Hmm.
we are saying to be an elder, you have accomplished the majority of the tasks from all those previous stages. And for all of us, we go, ooh, think there's a hole. Ooh, there's another hole. There's another hole.
Right.
And of course, we have things we're going to work on. But it's a process, that I want to end up as this joyful, wise person. And I put joyful first,
yes,
because that's what the main thing for me is that joyful elders. Papa Joe Johnson, I'm calling him by name. He is a joyful elder. And some people have started calling him Papa Joy. And I was like, I'm joining the crew. I want to call you Papa Joy. But just he's prayed with a lot of people. He's been that tree, for a lot of people. And so I love that, looking for more models like that. Joy, that's an infant level maturity, learning to live in joy, learning to return to joy, being able to return my whole community to joy, help my community live in joy, so that we are having hopeful daughters around us and joyful elders. How about that? Joyful elders and hopeful daughters for a healthy community.
Wow.
So,
okay, wait. I need to know.
You've been listening to the Table and Well podcast. New episodes stream every Tuesday. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review to let us know. Also, subscribe on your favorite listening platform to stay up to date on all things Table and Well. To learn more, start your journey, or get information on how Table and Well can help develop your community, family, or teams to be relationally healthy and authentically connected, please go to tableandwell.org/collab to schedule an interest call, or you can email us directly at known@tableandwell.org.